One of my favorite presentations of cinema are short films. What makes them so great to me is that they're this weird mix of a movie and a TV show. Generally, most short films are made to be standalone, with a beginning, middle, and end, like a movie, unlike a TV show that can carry on its own themes or characters into next week's installment of the show. However, just like a TV show and unlike a movie, a short film's pace has to be fast due to a shorter runtime. This forces creators to get really clever with how they present a quality story. What makes short films so great is that they allow for directors to tell more eccentric stories that they might not be able to tell on bigger budgets and with a lot more writing on the line. I especially like seeing anime short films that combine the aforementioned with some great animation and style. Recently I watched Robot Carnival, and although not every short film was an award winner, I commend the efforts of all the creators involved who worked hard to produce something unique and take on the challenges that arise with making a short film. One of my favorite short films from anime is the subject of today's video. Hi everyone, welcome to Jump Report. I'm your host Noah, and today I would like to talk to you about my favorite anime short film, Magnetic Rose. Before I get into the actual plot of Magnetic Rose, I would like to first speak on the background of this short. To understand why I enjoy this short film, you have to be aware of the film's influences and the star-studded team that put this together. Starting off, Magnetic Rose is actually part of a collection of 3 short films called Memories. Each story is unique, told by a different director, and each is based on Katsuhiro Otomo's short story manga that for some reason on Amazon goes for $14K. Although the short stories are different, they are all bound to the theme of memories. In what way, you may ask? I don't know. I've only watched Magnetic Rose. Come on, don't give me that much credit. From what I've heard, Magnetic Rose is considered the best out of the 3 short films and is considered the most important one to watch. I know the millions and millions of Stink Bomb fans are going to be pissed to hear that, but your cries for representation are drowned out by the more billion fans of Magnetic Rose. Where are we? Oh, yes, the talent. For Magnetic Rose, Otomo got a star-studded team of people to work on this short. Koji Morimoto, who was the assistant chief animator for Akira, was in charge of directing Magnetic Rose. Fun fact, Morimoto was actually in charge of creating the trippy concert scenes of Macross Plus. What is Macross Plus, you may ask? That's a story for another day, child. Anyways, the studio in charge of animating this film was Studio 4 Degrees Celsius. Their most notable work include animated shorts for the Animatrix and also the 3 Berserk films, which aren't that bad, but still just read the manga. Finally, the last name that's honestly the most integral name tied to this project is the late and most certainly great Satoshi Kon, who of course did Perfect Blue, a movie that I want to cover eventually on this channel, but I'd have to go super deep with that one. So let me know in the comments below if you want that or one of his other works. It is a common misconception that Satoshi Kon directed this work, but for Magnetic Rose, he simply provided a screenplay that adapted Otomo's original manga. The Google definition for a screenplay is simply a script for a movie that includes details on acting instructions and scene directions. Now, we'll get to Kon more in a bit, but before I do want to give praise to Morimoto and the animation team. Although the screenplay/script is brilliant, people other than Kon had to still come together and actually execute the project and bring the idea to life. Apologists. Satoshi Kon is known for providing viewers with very signature themes throughout his work, and Magnetic Rose is no exception. While only 40 minutes long, the short film packs themes including love, duality, contrast, loneliness, obsession, and a lot of Satoshi Konisms, Jump Report trademark, such as the focus of being on a female character, the lines of reality and dreams being blurred, and characters chasing a delusion. The short film also pays clear homage to classic Western sci-fi films, such as Alien, Star Wars, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Terminator, and perhaps the Soviet sci-fi film Solaris by Andrei Tarkovsky. While many of you may not have heard of Magnetic Rose, I think most people have heard of the aforementioned films or the aforementioned people. Overall, it's a powerhouse team working on this short film, with clear inspirations to great cinema that came before it. And before I give you a summary on this story, I would like to provide a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it yet, Tubi has all 3 films for free with ads. Who the fuck watches Tubi? But if you're willing to hack the mainframe, I'm sure you can find it for free with no ads. Now that you have been warned, I will go ahead and provide a summary of the story of Magnetic Rose. Magnetic Rose takes place in the future of 2092, where deep space travel is a thing. Right off the bat, the intro is oddly reminiscent of Cowboy Bebop, as it features shots of the quiet vastness of empty space with a tune of choir chants and saxophone music playing in the background. Early on, we also get an introduction to our main characters and their occupation, that being space junk scrappers who work for a set of executives. When the story begins, we catch them salvaging and destroying an old satellite in an unknown part of space before returning to the mothership called Corona. Another similarity Magnetic Rose shares with Cowboy Bebop, but also Star Wars, is the lo-fi aesthetic of the technology featured. Nothing looks sleek or new, but rather worn down and on its last leg. I actually enjoy when space movies utilize this aesthetic, since it reminds me of the feeling of relatability and a punkish look to the world. Once the crew are all together, we get a better introduction of its members through their interactions and dialogue. The crew consists of Ivanov, the old but experienced captain, Aoshima, who assists Ivanov with mothership operations, and the main 2 leads the film focuses on the most, the young bachelor Miguel, who is a bit dumb and a bit of a sleaze. He's not a terrible person per se, but his lack of common sense and bumbling nature tend to get him into trouble, as we'll soon find out. Finally, last but certainly not least, Heinz, a dutiful and stoic man. We don't know too much about him at the start, besides the fact that he has a 10-year-old daughter and seems to really care about his family back home. Heinz is my favorite character from this film due to his personality and everyman qualities about him. As Heinz and Miguel are boarding the Corona, Ivanov gets a request from the executives aboard a nearby space station. Ivanov declines the offer, since he and the crew are tired and just want to get back home at this point. Damn, even in the age of deep space travel, the problems of our current day gig economy still persist. This little exchange and rant about the uncaring execs by Ivanov, while brief, draws parallels to the story of Alien, where we see Ellen Ripley and crew travel in their respective box through deep space, working for an uncaring higher power that sees them as expendable errand boys. And cat. But you'll see as we go further parallels to Alien and the other sci-fi films I mentioned. We get a little banter between our crew members that gives us the idea that these guys work well together, despite their differences, before it is interrupted by an emergency distress signal. Aoshima traces its location to a place known as Sargasso. Ivanov calls it the graveyard of space, and fun fact, Sargasso is actually a real place in the Atlantic Ocean, known for carrying currents of brown seaweed known as sargassum. There isn't a graveyard of ships out there, but a long time ago, sailors used to believe that the vast quantities of seaweed would trap and entangle ships. Anyways, the crew are hesitant to respond to this signal, since the magnetic field in Sargasso is strong enough to mess with a ship's equipment if it is not properly equipped, and to quote Aoshima, despite the very obvious danger this impromptu rescue mission poses, Ivanov decides to go through with it. And although I wouldn't, I think his decision actually shows a lot about Ivanov's character. Although Ivanov is tired, he's willing to stick his neck out to help a person in need, potentially risking his life, as opposed to working overtime and netting some extra cash. Good bit of character development there. Once the crew reaches Sargasso, they are met with a little bit of 90s CGI floating in outer space where the SOS is coming from. While it's hard to discern what exactly it is due to it being partly obscured in darkness, we can believe it to be a massive amalgamation of space junk. Heinz and Miguel depart on the scrapper ship to check out what this giant collection of junk could be, and while this is going on, we hear a woman singing opera in the background, heavily foreshadowing what's to come. Forgot to mention, Yoko Kanno does the music for the film. No, that's not her singing, but I forgot to bring up her composition work, which is also seen in Cowboy Bebop, known for its legendary score. Once the two reached an entrance, Heinz records an entrance proof. I like this bit, not only because it provides some subtle world building into the procedures of space travelers, but it also shows a family photo Heinz has in his wallet, briefly showing us what his wife and daughter look like. Once inside, Heinz and Miguel take notice of the very antiquated tech in the decompression area. Once again, I appreciate the effort to add elements of realism with Heinz checking for radiation levels and giving some indication that these explorers follow a standard operating procedure. As the gravity settles in and Miguel struggles to get his suit off, we see the elevator reach its destination. But before it does, you'll notice that this pipe is oozing a red liquid out of it. This is not foreshadowing, as the elevator doors open to reveal an empty Victorian opera house. What makes this initial reveal shocking is that up until this point, we have been conditioned to the lo-fi futuristic aesthetic and the science fiction style of the film. We've been used to the rickety tech and ships and official operating procedures up until this point in the story, so for Magnetic Rose to suddenly do a rug pull and throw us and the protagonists into something from a fairy tale is incredibly jarring. From here on out is where the story truly begins, as the Corona's crew explores a derelict ship and uncovers the dark past of the purpose of the ship, along with the dark past of its owner. So that summary didn't contain any massive spoilers. I just wanted to give you an idea of what to expect from this film without giving away too much information. Just enough to let you be potentially interested in Magnetic Rose. From here on out though, I will be discussing the themes of this story and giving away potential spoilers of the plot. I'll put some timestamp around here of when the spoilers will end, but if you haven't seen this film already, go ahead and do so and come back here when you're done. Okay. Let's begin. Although Satoshi Kon wasn't the director of this film, you can definitely see his fingerprints all over this work, featuring his trademark usage of dreams to keep the audience guessing whether what they see before them is real or not. I think Kon having Heinz seeing figures of his past appear before him, forcing him to grapple with his guilt and trauma, is very similar to the aforementioned Tarkovsky film Solaris, in which the main character experiences hallucinations aboard a derelict space station that unites him with his deceased wife as he overcomes the trauma of losing her. Tarkovsky himself is known to incorporate dreamlike imagery into his work. Originally, I wondered if this was a coincidence, but actually, in this blog post, the user translated a list Kon had made of all of his favorite movies. Those include Solaris, along with all of the previous sci-fi films I had mentioned. I'll link it in the description below. It's honestly worth checking out just to see what films inspired this amazing director. Another Konism that shines through in the script is the very important character that I left out of the summary because she's an integral part of the mystery, that being Eva Friedel, a once famous Italian opera singer who fell from grace and retreated from the world both metaphorically and physically to live in solitude aboard her own spaceship, with a supercomputer carefully crafted and designed to allow her to relive her past glory days. When I first watched this, the main theme of the short film went entirely over my head, and I only really saw Magnetic Rose as a cool sci-fi epic featuring guns, shooting, and love. Wait, that is the theme, but not just love, but memories of a loved one or past loves. This is obviously seen through Eva's character, as she is obsessed with her glory days as a singer, but also in her love for her ex-fiancé Carlos. We'll get to him in a bit. Eva uses her computers to produce holograms of the past, and people who adored her. This whole situation brings up an interesting question. That being, if you could live your life with happiness every day with the exception that none of it was real, would you? Eva acts as our vessel to see what a life like that is like, and the realistic consequences for that. The problem with the life Eva lives is that it's based solely on her perspective, a series of bias and selective memories that only tell half of the story, and as the story progresses, Heinz and Miguel soon find the veneer slowly peeling away as we see the food, dresses, and other belongings of Eva turn out to be fake and decaying props. The ship's onboard computer, however, is running as intended as it starts to peer into the minds of both Heinz and Miguel, looking to provide them with comforting memories of their past or with a fantasy for them to live in. In the case of Miguel, it's to be with a beautiful woman, regardless of the circumstances, or how he actually met her. Heinz, on the other hand, is shown his past, along with his daughter who met her fate due to an accidental fall off the roof of their family home. The film does a great job of slowly cluing us in on the personal grief Heinz feels as the ship's computer toys with Heinz. I'd like to think that what the computer provides to the ship's inhabitants is a reflection of the idea of nostalgic memories. While pleasant to think about now and then, if you go any deeper, you'll start to begin to see the issues and the problems that lie behind the curtain. Thankfully, Heinz was able to resist the temptation the computer brought before him, that being to live the rest of his life with an idealized version of his daughter brought back to life via hologram, and that's why he's my favorite character of the film. Speaking of the characters, I'd like to point out that each member of the crew represents this theme of memories of love or past love. The obvious example being Eva with Carlos, Miguel with his quote-unquote sweet memories with past conquests, and Heinz with the strongest and deepest love for his wife and daughter, featuring a picture or memory of them in his wallet. Even the minor crew members, Ivanov and Aoshima, both have some references to this theme. Ivanov has a tattoo of 2 hearts pierced through a single arrow. Although a pretty common tattoo, the meaning behind this represents love, desire, and romance, with the 2 hearts representing Ivanov's and a lover's. Tattoos are often gotten to give a physical manifestation of the past or a memory. The last and toughest case to link this theme was Aoshima, so I started looking into the meaning of his name. Aoshima is the name of an island in Japan, known for having a ton of cats, but also hosting the Aoshima Shrine. The shrine itself is covered with heart-shaped artwork in the grounds of the shrine, along with a place where the future of your love life is predicted. The other name I did research into is the name of the ship. Why is it called Corona? Well, the term Corona is Spanish for crown, but also Italian. Now, which character of this oddly super diverse for 1995 cast of characters is Italian? Metaphorically, the Corona acts as the crown to Eva's ship. As the movie ends, we see the amalgamation of ships that surrounds Eva's has formed into a rose, coincidentally after the crown ship has become a part of the collection. The last theme I'd like to bring up is the theme of obsession and desire, something that has been prevalent in another work involving a woman who was a former singer. Eva was not only obsessed with her past memories, but also her ex-fiancé, Carlos. When he is first revealed to us, we're led to believe that he was murdered by a crazy fan of Eva's, but that's not the case. Through the holograms of Eva, it is revealed to us that Eva, in an act of fear, murdered Carlos as she believed he was plotting to leave her. It goes without saying that Eva was so delusional that I don't think that she ever broke out of her obsession, as we see her long dead corpse clutching a rose on her deathbed, with the rose acting as a symbol of her past, since when she would finish her opera performances, people would throw her roses. Obsession is something that the other characters face too, primarily Miguel and Heinz, who each come out of their tests differently. Heinz shows that you can have a very strong love for someone or something, but keep it in check. As much as he loves his daughter, and I'm sure he wishes she were alive, he's accepted for the most part that she's gone, and that nothing will sadly bring her back. Miguel does not pass the test, on the other hand, and deserves to go to horny jail. He cannot let go of his memories of loving various women, and when he is met with the opportunity to be with a beautiful hologram for the rest of his remaining days in a fabricated Disney princess fantasy, he takes it without much forethought. These outcomes lead us to the finale, where we see Aoshima and Ivanov get crushed like a can, but more importantly, the meaning behind the choices Miguel and Heinz made. Heinz refused to accept the lie, and although he might die alone in space, he chose to accept reality. Miguel, on the other hand, bought into the lie and will blissfully live out his days with a holograph of Eva. All of this begs the final question that I leave you with. Is it better to live in blissful ignorance, or live in the painful truth? God damn. I can't tell you what's worse. Me obsessively talking about a short film from the 90s, or as young Treva would put it when referring to Fooly Cooly, a truly peak and niche anime. Or you sitting through and watching it. All jokes aside, this short film is really, really good, and besides a few short failings in character development involving Aoshima and Ivanov, I would say this short film is nearly perfect. And I understand why this lack of character development exists, considering that it's a short film. Overall, if you enjoyed Perfect Blue, Paprika, or Paranoia Agents, you'll be sure to like Magnetic Rose. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and it makes you want to go check out Magnetic Rose. If you like the video, please like it. Subscribe if you don't want to miss our future videos. Let me know down below if there's a Satoshi Kon related work that you would like for me to take a look at. Anyways guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video.